arrival was almost unspeakable.
We are all evil in some form or another. I'm not guilty.
The dead won't bother you. It's the living you gotta worry about.
If I couldn't keep them there with me whole, at least I felt that I could keep their skeletons.
Hello and welcome to the Bad Taste Crime Podcast. I'm Rachel.
I'm Vicky.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you guys? Are you cold?
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah,
constantly.
Me too. I know. It's so chilly outside.
Yeah. The only thing I like about winter is that I get to like be bundled up inside. You know, I actually keep my place like kind of on the cool side because I like having like the blankets and the sweatshirts and stuff. But I've said it before and I'll say it again, not made for this weather.
Me neither. I cannot stand winter.
Yeah.
See, I'm a Taurus. I'd be bundled up inside all year round.
I'm ready for it to be over.
Yeah, me too.
Ready for it to be done. Mostly because I don't like driving to work in this.
Absolutely not.
But it has started to get lighter out later, like lighter later, which makes
nice.
It better. It makes it less depressing.
I know.
Yes. But we will not bore you with weather chat forever.
Yes, we will.
No. If this is your first time listening, a special hello to you.
That's a threat.
We are going to head over to the newsroom.
Sorry.
Fit to breathe, our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad.
So this week, we are okay, Rachel.
Hi.
What would you say? Tell me what these things have in common.
Okay.
Elvis impersonators, conspiracy theories, illegal organ harvesting, a feud with a state representative, an attempt to kill the president with ricin, and a frame job.
What? Hello? I mean, it sounds like my stream of consciousness, to be honest.
Crazy, right? All of these things come together in a documentary series on Netflix called The King of Tupelo.
What?
Which is, I had never heard of it, didn't know it was coming out. I happened to spot it like a couple of days after it had come out, and I was like, this sounds interesting. Wild.
Oh my God.
It is by the same people who did Wild Wild Country.
Oh my God.
Which is about the Rajneeshis.
Yes.
And I always bring them up as the people who put salmonella on the on the buffets, which was a crazy documentary.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, so Kings of Tupelo, it is a crazy story. I'm going to read directly from the Wikipedia description because I can't even explain it.
Oh my God.
The series focuses on Kevin Curtis, a former Elvis impersonator and conspiracy theorist from Tupelo, Mississippi. Curtis, which is also Elvis's hometown.
Yeah.
BT dubs. Curtis was fired from the North Mississippi Medical Center and became convinced the hospital was involved in illegal organ harvesting. Curtis developed a feud with his state representative, Steve Holland, after Holland refused to support his proposed legislation on organ trafficking. Holland also coincidentally owned several funeral homes.
Oh my God.
Fueling Curtis's conspiracy theories. Curtis was later framed by James Everett Dushki, a Taekwondo instructor, Wayne Newton impersonator, and Republican candidate for office in 2007, who ran against Holland for sending the 2013 ricin letters to President Barack Obama, Judge Sadie Holland, and Senator Roger Wicker.
This guy's the Joker. Hello?
It is
What the fuck?
an insane story.
Oh my God.
And Kevin Curtis is like fully engrossed in like online conspiracy culture, especially when it came to like the illegal organ harvesting stuff.
Right.
But like then shit starts happening where he's like, he is actually being surveilled by the FBI, and they eventually like carry out this raid on his house because of these ricin letters, and they pull him in and he's like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, which only like fuels things even more. Like,
whoa.
Yeah, it is it's only 3 episodes. It is a wild story. Kevin Curtis himself is quite a character.
Oh my God.
And he actually was known for, they were the only brother Elvis impersonator duo They were like the first and only, and they were like super popular on the Elvis impersonator circuit, which is a huge ass deal out in Mississippi. Like, dude, it's crazy.
Hell yeah.
It's crazy. It was a very fun documentary, but like just the connections and the things.
Oh my God. I want to watch that so bad.
And so you really should. You would
amazing.
really like it. I think a lot of people would really enjoy it, but it just like, no matter what you think is happening in the story, there's something else going on. Like, it's just a wild story.
That sounds
Yeah.
wild.
It's called The Kings of Tupelo. It's on Netflix. Definitely check it out.
I'm doing that.
Did I even do news? Did I skip right to Netflix?
You did.
I think I said, well, we're doing things backwards.
I was like, is news
I just
first?
got so excited about this. I'm surprised you
This
didn't
is
call me
a
out.
super special
I just got so excited
switcheroo
about this
episode.
documentary. Yeah, my bad. We're gonna back up and do
Who
the
needs
news.
a format?
Yeah. So this week, our news comes from Texas.
Ooh.
Laredo, Texas, I believe.
Okay.
Where police believe they have made what they believe is the largest avocado recovery in the history of Hill County.
What?
Yeah. So there is a thing down there with people stealing avocados. There was a huge cargo theft that was reported to the Laredo Police Department
Like the meat theft.
on December 13th. And then they find this 18-wheeler like semi truck that they think it's like matching the description. I think it matches the license plate. So they pull it over and they look in the back and they find more than 34,000 avocados. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yep.
That's mad avocados.
Yep.
Too many, I think.
Yeah. They recovered them. They transferred them to a secure location before they were able to actually transfer them back
Just
to
a local Chipotle.
the company that
Yeah.
owned the avocados.
Wow.
Yeah. So they recovered 34,000 avocados.
I
in a
mean,
semi-truck.
avocados is one of those crops where like it can't really grow everywhere.
It's true.
Right? So like I have heard of things like that before where people are trying to like
Yeah. Well, I don't think we grow them really in the U.S.
Not
do
really.
we? It's more in Mexico, right?
Right. Yeah, I was
They're,
actually
like,
surprised.
imported?
Right. Yeah, I was surprised when you said they were from California. I was like, I thought they only grew in Mexico, but maybe they also grow in California a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's possible that they were here and they just stole the cargo.
Oh, for sure.
Because it was just like avocados in the back of a semi-truck.
OG from Mexico. Got
Yeah, like they had already been shipped up here.
Avocado mystery.
I don't even know,
Avocado mystery podcast.
dude. Weird. Oh my gosh.
I love that.
Well, this is that part of the show where we say content might not be appropriate for all listeners. Mine's actually not too bad.
Yeah, it's really not.
Mine's
Mine's
actually
not
not too
either.
bad. But what are we talking about today, Rachel?
We're talking about spies.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my God, totally spies.
Oh my
This is my
God.
topic, and I picked spies.
Yeah.
I feel
Was
like
there a
it's-
reason?
I feel like it's topical.
I don't know, honestly, that we've ever done like a spy episode or like an
Ooh.
espionage.
Oh my
I think we've
God.
talked about spies, but
Right.
not as like the topic.
Yeah.
Like they come up in sort of tertiary ways, you know?
Right, because it's like, a spy committing a murder or the spy is the victim or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so interested in like the double life aspect
Yeah.
of it and
Yeah.
like the secrecy. I just think that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Are you into like any spy movies? Any James Bond?
I've seen one James Bond movie in my entire life, and it was Skyfall.
Yeah, that's the best one.
I don't
I love that
know
movie.
that everybody would agree with you,
I agree.
especially the older folk.
They can show.
But that is like the only James Bond
Don't
movie.
fight me IRL.
Spy movies are not necessarily my thing.
Yeah.
I do like the mysterious aspect of it, right? But I think there's other things that I watch with people
Yeah,
leading
definitely.
sort of double roles.
Yeah.
Like recently, I have been re-watching Severance because Severance season 2. Have you watched that?
No, but I know like what it
Yeah,
is.
Severance season 2 starts soon, like in the next week or so. And so there's definitely like some
spies in that.
double lifestyle.
Ooh.
Not necessarily spies, but just like
Interesting.
in work they're one thing, out of work they're a different thing type of thing. And it's very
Love that. So interesting.
So I feel like I get that need filled in other places.
Because that's
spy.
boing. That's the thing. That's the thing is like, and I'm trying so hard not to be political in this episode. I'm doing so good already. But that's the thing is like, whenever I was looking into this guy's life and all of his like espionage, I'm like, oh, he's just like a cop.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're lame.
Yeah. Not the exciting. That's the thing too, is like not all of spying is necessarily the most exciting thing in the world. It's not all like actiony and stuff. It's just like.
Well, when I was reading, because this guy is really interesting. You're going to really be interested in this guy, and he has this whole he's lived like 3 bazillion lives in his one lifetime.
Okay.
But as soon as I was like, oh, okay, he's going to go work for the government for this organization. Oh, it's the precursor to the CIA. Oh, they do bad things. Oh, this guy's going to do bad things.
My grandpa worked for the precursor to the CIA.
Well, he probably did bad things too.
No, he did not. He did not.
Well, it was classified.
No, I know what he did. It was not on the bad side
I'm
of
just joking.
things. I can't believe I haven't told you that story, but yeah.
Haven't.
No, that's where he met my grandma.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. My dad's dad helped. He was in the Navy, and he helped with like the formation of radar.
Okay.
And it was funny because it was classified. So when he went home to my grandma, he couldn't talk about it. And he was such a dick. He was like, it's so secret. He's like, the only thing I can tell you is that it's so secret. It's spelled the same way backwards and forwards. Because radar.
Oh.
Isn't that dumb? He's so dumb. Like we found a bunch of like letters of like certification, like you helped with radar.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
cool.
From my understanding, and I know my mom listens to the show, so if I get this wrong, she'll probably tell me. But my understanding is that he worked with the like communications intercepting side of things.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, it was like in that area.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's fancy.
Anyway.
So the spy I picked is Mo Berg, who, like most spies, lived somewhat of a double life. But unlike most spies who likely spend their civilian lives in relative quiet as to not draw too much attention to themselves.
Right, as you would.
Which would make sense. Mo was like, I'm actually famous.
Okay.
I'm famous.
Wow.
He played 15 seasons of Major League Baseball with teams such as the Cleveland Indians, Brooklyn Robins, and the Sox, both white and red.
What?
Yes.
That is not low key. I feel like you would want to keep a low cover.
Wouldn't you think so? But he
Or
was
like,
I'm literally playing baseball.
Is it so obvious that people are like, nah, that can't be right? Like, he's just famous.
I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe. Okay.
How did one man balance a moderately successful baseball career while also doing sketchy shit for the government? I'll do my best to tell you.
Okay.
So Mo was a New York guy. He was born in Harlem, but his parents, Rose and Bernard Berg, that's so cute, moved the family to Newark when Mo was 3.
Okay.
His parents had emigrated to the U.S. from Ukraine, and they reportedly moved to Newark because of the anti-Jewish attitude in Harlem.
Okay.
But like, and this is like, I'm not trying to be like, I know it was like an awful time and everything, but like you would think that at that point, like as a Jewish person in this area, you would think that you would move to somewhere where you would have community with, there's safety in numbers. But he moved to Newark specifically because there were not a lot of Jewish people there.
Okay.
So it was kind of like he wanted to hide that part of his identity.
Like he's just like,
sad.
I just don't even want to be involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, I'm not trying to shame him, but it's like, that's sad.
Right. Yeah.
That's so sad. And so because of that, they stuck out, which I'm like, that was not a good plan, sir.
Listen, he's already like A+ spying, like already. Let me go to the place where I am completely different. No one will
Right.
suspect.
Right. Pretty much. He's undercover.
Yeah.
He's like,
He's so under, he's over cover.
oh my God. Overcover. Mo, by all accounts, was a good kid who loved school and loved to learn. School led to sports, by which, of course, I mean mostly baseball.
Sure.
Which he started playing at the age of 7. By his mid-teens, Mo was playing baseball for his high school as a third baseman.
Okay.
He graduated, went to NYU for a year, and then transferred to Princeton. Ooh, fancy.
Fancy.
So he's from like an area like Newark was really nice, but a lot of like his peers, like his little baseball playing peers, were like not super academically inclined.
Okay.
Not that they weren't smart, but they saw more opportunity in going to
Right.
work.
Yeah.
And not, it was not cool to be like a nerd and be smart.
Right,
But
right.
Mo literally, big brain here, spoke 7 languages.
Wow.
Yeah, which is how he got a BA in modern language from Princeton.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure even just like living in a home, because if his parents were from Ukraine, I'm sure they spoke
Ukrainian. And they
Russian.
probably
Is it, or does Ukraine have their own language?
I think Ukrainian is its own language.
Are you sure? Or do they speak Russian?
I'm actually not sure. But
We have very vulnerable moments of being really dumb sometimes. You guys.
I think it's its own language.
Ukraine's language. Let's find out. It is Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't know.
There's been this whole TikTok thing.
Oh, but many citizens speak Russian as their
Right.
first language.
Right.
Okay.
I know
So it's
people
both.
from Ukrainian speak
Good to
Russian,
know.
but they also
there you
speak
go.
Ukrainian.
Frankly, his parents probably spoke both.
Right.
So that's 3 languages right there if you count
Right.
English.
Right. And
That's crazy.
And that wasn't even like mentioned. And also, even though they were trying to separate a little bit from their Jewish heritage, they probably spoke Yiddish,
yeah,
in the
yeah.
home. So like, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, being a nerd did not make him popular at Princeton somehow, which is lame. Like, that's kind of the whole point of Princeton is to be a nerd.
Right. Or to be rich.
That was pretty much it.
Or
and
to be
he was
rich.
not rich.
Yeah.
And so he always said, like, he didn't fit in. And he didn't really
Yeah.
like it there. And he was kind of on the outskirts.
You can
He
be a
never quite-
nerd, but you got to be like snobby
Like
too.
this, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Saltburn.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
still haven't seen that.
Oh,
I
my
know.
God.
I know.
Oh, it's so interesting.
I know.
However, he was a pretty decent ball player. His team beat Harvard and Yale during the
Ooh.
senior season. And this is just like a cute little detail. Him and another baseman, because like he played, full disclosure, if you guys have been listening for a while, I don't know anything about sports. Sports are very confusing to me.
I played softball for a lot of years
I
growing
know.
up.
And you watch
got
a lot
you,
of
girl.
sports, but my poor husband, like every second as I was researching this, I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And honestly, I skip a lot of the baseball stuff because I just don't really understand it.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in learning about Mo Berg's baseball history, that's another podcast. It's not
We're
this
not the sports podcast.
No, we're not.
Until we do episodes about sports, and then we are for just like an episode.
Just like an episode, but like I'm just cosplaying as someone who knows about sports. I really don't. But him and another baseman would communicate because he spoke so many languages.
Yeah.
This other baseman happened to speak Latin, so they would communicate their plays secretly to each other in Latin. And that's
Nice.
how they would like defeat the other team.
Nice.
So cute.
Nice.
I love
But
that. I think
also
that's so
wicked
cute.
fucking nerdy. Like that is
So
also nerdy to know Latin.
So nerdy. That's like some dark academia shit,
Yeah.
and I love it. He played shortstop, I guess, and his nerdy Latin-speaking ass was gathering some solid attention, which led him to be signed by the Robins in 1923 for $5,000, which would be $89,000 today.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's crazy.
Really good.
I'm going to say some numbers I don't understand. For the
Okay.
season, Berg batted .187 and made 21 errors in 47 games,
Okay.
which is like, from what I read, that's like fine.
Yeah.
And that was
That's pretty average.
Pretty much like his whole baseball career, he was kind of labeled as being like mediocre.
Yeah. It's not amazing.
No.
It's just kind of like, yeah, it's pretty like,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
pretty average,
middle of the
pretty
line.
middle
Right.
of the pack. Yeah.
Right. What I thought was funny was one of the articles I was reading said that after his first season, instead of using that like off time to get into better shape, which is what all the other players were doing, he toured Italy and Switzerland. He was like, bye.
Cool.
I'm going to go eat cheese. See you later. But then when he came back, his coach was like, wow, have you been laying around eating a lot of cheese? Fatty.
Yeah,
like,
we can tell.
Bye. I'm literally, so they transferred him to another team. He was like, get out.
Really?
Yeah, he was like,
Oh, wow.
go on, Tubbs. So he was kind of like, and again, I don't know if this is a common thing in baseball, but he almost was like kind of like a sub, like where he would go to this team for a little while, and then he would go to this other team for a while, and one of these guys' players got hurt, so they would take him, and he would do that. And
Yeah, I've noticed in baseball specifically, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like they do a lot more, especially like mid-season trading of people.
With other sports, it seems like I always, and of course, do I know about this? No. But it always seems like, oh, this guy got transferred, and it's like this big ass deal, and it's like super permanent.
Yes.
And in baseball, it just seems like, well, he went over here for a little bit, and then he went over here.
And
then,
I mean, obviously, it depends on what kind of contract you sign.
right. And this was the 20s.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
So he was just kind of like coming to help. So his baseball career wasn't going like super, super incredible.
Okay.
But he kept his nose to the grindstone and ended up getting signed by the White Sox in 1925.
Very cool.
Which, like, you'd think he would immediately be, like, in the gym every single day trying to get fit. But he was actually like, thanks for signing me, but I'm going to law school. Bye.
Okay.
So he skipped the first 2 months of the season to go to Columbia.
Wow.
And that was kind of what he did. Yep. He was like, see ya.
Because Columbia's a good law school.
He was smart as fuck.
Yeah.
He was really, really smart.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of like, yeah, I don't want, like, and they would call him and, like, offer him more money. And he was like, no, I want to go to law school.
They want to offer him more. I love how hard they're trying to get a mediocre player.
For real. That's what I didn't understand either. Like, he was just kind of fine. Like, he would have seasons where he did really good.
Yeah.
But then...
And a lot, I mean, I will say, like, in baseball, too, like, a lot of it is potential, right? Like, you can train potential, but
and
that just seems wild that they were
I think so
going
too.
so hard.
Yeah, I have no idea. So that was kind of what he did for the next few years. When it was time for spring training, he was like, I've actually got, like, law school homework, so I'm not doing that. So I'm not doing the training. Bye.
I mean, fair.
So he played. Do you remember when Robert Pattinson got cast as Batman?
Yes.
And they were like, oh my God, are you like, do you have like a workout routine? He's like, I'm not.
Yeah.
So immediately I thought of that, where he was like,
I mean,
no.
I also don't, I feel like that is not uncommon for baseball players to just be like
Bye.
he is not the first and would not be the last to have that attitude towards
That's
training.
crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like my like.
I'm not saying it's everybody,
Right.
But like one or two guys every couple of years will come out and just be like,
If I'm
"Fuck
gonna
this.
be on TV
I'm gonna go
in front of a
smoke my
bunch
weed
of
and then
people,
show up."
Well, I'm gonna do that too. But
Yeah.
like if I'm gonna be in front of a bunch of people and a bunch of athletes, I'm gonna be yoked.
I mean,
You know, like that's crazy.
yeah, I don't think, yeah, but you don't need to be yoked to be good at baseball either.
But I bet it helps.
It helps. It helps.
Oh, I thought this was so cute. So at one point, he's, doing Columbia, and he comes back and they're like, you are flabby and not strong. Like, we need to really strengthen you up. So they sent him to a lumber camp.
Okay.
So he hauled big logs around for 3 weeks and came back in, quote, the best shape of his life. And
Nice.
that was the time when he had like the best season ever.
Nice.
Like did really
when
well.
he was literally a lumberjack.
Yoked. Right. I bet he was getting bitches.
Oh my gosh.
He ended up during this time passing the bar.
Okay.
And gaining his LLB, which is Bachelor of Laws, in 1930. During this time, he was still kind of floating around to different teams, playing for the Cleveland Indians and the Washington Senators, which is the cutest name for a team I've ever heard. The Washington Senators. Oh, that's so cute. The little Senators. That's so dumb.
Oh my God.
He was doing okay, impressing some people, but not others. Dave Harris, who was an outfielder on the Senators, a reporter was talking to him and he was like, wow, what do you think of Mo? Like, it's really cool that he speaks 7 languages. He went, yeah, and he can't hit in any of them. Like, roasted. Yeah, literally. Like, rude.
That is really funny.
So rude.
I mean, fair.
Very fair. Despite a pretty average run, Mo was invited to travel to Japan with a team made up of some of the most talented players of all time, a lineup that included Lou Gehrig,
Okay.
Lefty Lopez, and Babe Ruth. So,
Okay.
like, holy shit, heavy hitters. He was so smart that when he got to Japan, they were like, okay, we have like a translator. We can do like an entry speech. And he's like, oh, I learned Japanese. And he
How
just
convenient.
did like an entry speech for everyone. Like, thank you for inviting us into your country. We love you.
Dude, that's so impressive.
Right? He
That's
was so
impressive.
smart, so good at languages. Now, Mo had actually made a contract with a newsreel company from New York called Movie Tone News to film his trip, which I guess was like not super uncommon back in the day because, I mean, it's like the 30s.
Right.
So
those are the things that would like roll before the movies. That was
Right.
like news of the world.
he pretty much was shooting
Yeah.
B-roll.
Yeah.
Was pretty much. So they provided him with a video camera, and then when he came home, he would sell them the footage. Like that.
Oh,
Was
so
the
he
whole
would
thing.
just do the videos himself.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he was like, I'm going to Japan and I know
Sure.
you guys want footage. And they were like, we'll give you this camera.
Okay.
Here you go. You
Nice.
film when you're there and try to film a couple areas and we'll accept it when we come back. And that was exactly what it was it was for B-roll
Yeah.
and like background footage and all kinds of stuff that they just
Oh,
didn't have access
interesting.
to at the time.
Sure.
So the whole time he's there, he's going on top of roofs and stuff, like filming his surroundings. He was taking it very seriously. This footage would later become very, very important to his future, not as a baseball player, but as an asset to the United States government.
Oh, shit.
Gross. In 1941, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, Mo went to the government and was like, hey, I speak 7 languages. Hire
Yep.
me. So he accepted a position with the OIAA, which was the precursor
Yes.
to today's CIA.
Yes.
Yeah, you were bet they were jazzed to have a dude with that much life
Oh, I'm
experience.
sure.
And he had also, I didn't mention all of it, but like pretty much in all of his off seasons, even when he was supposed to be on, he was traveling, going to the Philippines and going to Italy and going to all. So he'd gone to all of these different places.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, actually, since we're beefing with Japan, do you want all this footage I captured? Just in case you have to like attack them.
What year was it?
1941.
Okay. Okay.
So he still had all this footage
Yeah.
and was like, would you like it? And they were like, yes, we would.
Okay.
We would like that.
Interesting.
So they sent him to Europe, the pre-CIA OIAA.
Yeah.
Sent him to Europe to so he was just kind of like doing shit for them. He just kind of worked for them. So he would do a variety of things. When he first started there, he was going around Europe interviewing physicists and trying to convince them to come and work for them instead of working for Europe.
Okay.
Hey, come and live in America.
Okay.
Come and work for our government.
Okay.
So he was doing that shit. So in November, news about Heisenberg, not Walter White, the other
Right,
Heisenberg,
right.
was giving a lecture in Zurich. So Berg was like, yeah, I'll go there and I'll attend the lecture. And if they're like, okay, make sure that he's not like, we have several bombs. So he was like, okay. And if Berg concluded that the Germans were like about to have a bomb, he had orders to shoot Heisenberg.
Okay.
So he was he went on from being like, hello, Mr. Physicist, that boy sure is rainy here in Europe. Wouldn't you like to live in sunny LA and work for the government? To being like, I will take out the target.
Oh my
like,
god.
bro,
that's
what the hell?
Crazy.
Yup.
Okay.
I love that they're like, today you're doing this, tomorrow murder.
Yeah.
But he was like,
yeah, but they were like giving guns to everybody over there.
They
Just
sure
like,
were.
listen, here you go. Like, do what you got to do.
Yep, they sure were. But he was like, oh no, they don't have bombs yet. So
good.
we don't have to worry about it. So he did not have to murder Heisenberg. Which is great.
Good.
He had direct orders, like after that, from FDR. He went and talked to the head of the supersonic research program in Italy, Antonio Ferri, to pretty much do what he was trying to get them to do, relocate to America and design shit there. So that was like a huge deal because he was like a big guy.
Yeah.
When he brought him back and was like, mission successful, Mr. President, Roosevelt commented, I see that Mo Berg is still catching very well. President's got jokes. So in 1946, he resigned from the OSS. I think he just felt like he'd done all that he could do.
Yeah.
But then the CIA, which between then and now formed into the CIA from the OSS, were like, hey, actually, come back immediately.
Yeah.
Come back because you have all these World War II contacts and we're trying to figure out the Soviet atom bomb.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, you come back. They're like, we're going to give you $10,000 plus all of your expenses. You go and figure that out. And then they were like, have you heard anything from Berg? No, I haven't heard anything. They received nothing. So, like, he went on the trip.
Yeah.
But, like, I think he was just on the beach.
Okay. So he wasn't, like, actually doing any work.
Correct. He was like, thanks for the money. Bye.
Sure. Well, and in those days, it was very easy to just, like, disappear.
And I
just
mean,
be like, well, especially with that kind of money, like...
Yeah, he didn't get in trouble.
Be on a beach somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he was doing. So he just kind of, like, was like... Okay, sorry. Well, bye. And
I told you I wanted to quit.
Yep. He was like, shouldn't have hired me, idiot.
Yeah.
Idiot. So he went back to America and kind of just like didn't do shit.
Okay.
He was living off of like people who liked him, friends, relatives, fans, people who were like, oh my God, it's Mo Berg. You're so like charismatic and funny. And he was like, haha, I don't have a job. Don't even worry about it. This is really cute. I love this.
He didn't save any of that money?
No.
Oh, God. Okay.
And it's like he did travel a lot.
Yeah.
But I
feel like that would have been paid for by the government.
Right.
Okay.
You would think. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't find out why he didn't have any money. Because he was never like an alcoholic or a drug addict or anything like that.
It didn't sound like he had like a spending problem.
No.
Like,
but I think he probably had enough for like the basics or to like get himself set up at least a little bit. Yeah. And then he was just kind of like, oh, well, I don't really want to do anything. I feel like he was kind of like a lazy bitch. Which I love as a fellow lazy bitch.
Coasted? I mean, coaster. Coaster.
I thought this was really cute. So when his family and stuff would ask him, because they didn't know exactly what he did because it was also secret, when they asked him what he did for a living, this is a quote, he would reply by putting his finger to his lips, giving them the impression that he was still a spy, even though he fucking wasn't. So he was like, yeah, I'm still doing spy work. I'm not just sitting here doing shit. I'm actually on patrol.
Yeah, I'm working right now.
I have to watch Mad Men right now. I have to. It's for the CIA. So he lived with his brother, Samuel.
Okay.
Never married, never really dated. Lifelong bachelor. Eventually, Samuel kicked him out and was like, you're not even a real spy. Get out of my house. So then he had to go and move in with his sister because he was just like a mean dickhead to everyone. So he almost got, in 1958 and 1960, he almost got into the Baseball Hall of Fame. He had like, it says a handful of votes. Berg said, so a lot of, I'm sure this was probably both ways in both things that he was in baseball and in espionage. I'm sure both sides were like, stop doing that and just come over here full time. Like, why can't you commit to whatever it is?
Yeah.
And he said, I'd rather be a ball player than a justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. Like, I don't care.
Nice.
I don't care.
Yeah.
A lot of people were trying to get him to write his memoir because obviously he's like a super fascinating dude.
Yeah.
And he was like, no. But then finally in 1960, he was assigned a co-author. And they were like, well, you need to do this because it'll make you a lot of money. So here's this co-author. He'll help you. And he knows a lot about you, so it'll be fine. So he was like, all right, whatever. And he turned and was like, hi, nice to meet you. And he was like, oh my God, you're Mo from the Three Stooges?
Oh my God.
He mixed him up with Mo from he literally walked out of the building.
That's
he was
hilarious.
like, goodbye, I'm not doing this fucking memoir. Fuck your memoir.
That's
Fuck
funny.
your memoir. So May 29th, 1972, at the age of 70, Berg died at his sister's home where he was staying. So there's nothing about this. This is just me being a weirdo conspiracy theorist. And he was 70, so he was like a little old, but he fell at home and he died.
Damn.
I was like,
I mean,
was he assassinated? Did they take him out? They were
No, I
like,
think he
give
was
us that
just old.
$10,000 back.
Sure, he was probably just old.
His final words were asking a nurse how the Mets were doing at the hospital.
Of course.
She was like, they won. And then he died.
Yeah.
By his request, his remains were cremated and spread over Mount Scopus, which is in the occupied territory of Palestine. And that's it. That is the super weird.
So did people not know he was a spy until after he died? Or did they
Mostly.
know
They knew he was a
before?
spy, but they didn't know the specifics. Like, they knew he worked for the government. So it was kind of like a wink,
Yeah.
wink, nudge, nudge kind of thing. But all of this
Okay.
came out afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, after his
Wow.
death. Isn't that cool?
Wild.
So it's like, wow, that's a mediocre ball player. And it's like, that mediocre ball player almost killed Heisenberg.
Was also a mediocre spy.
Yeah, really never accomplished anything, really.
He was very good at being average.
For real, honestly, same.
That's
Honestly, hard
wild.
same.
That was so good.
Oh, I thought it was interesting.
So we're going to switch gears just a little bit, but not
Ooh.
really.
Oh, love it. I'm here for it.
Because I want to talk about the doll woman, Velvalee Dickinson, which I
What?
think is just a great name.
It's an amazing name.
Velvalee.
Velvalee.
Yes. So Velvalee Dickinson was born in Sacramento, California in 1893
Okay.
to Otto and Elizabeth Bulcher. In 1918, Dickinson graduated from Stanford University,
Ooh, fancy.
which is kind of amazing for a woman.
I was gonna say
In 1918.
Barbie movie.
But she did not get her Bachelor of Arts until 1937.
She took a couple gap years.
Due to an allegation that she hadn't returned books to the college.
Shut up. Those librarians are serious.
Yeah, they're like, we won't. I mean, I didn't know that was practice back then, where they're like, we won't give you your diploma until you like pay all of your library fines.
That's incredible.
That was something from high school. They used to say, like, you have to pay all your
Yep.
library fines. to
I
get
know.
your-
I worked at the library in high school. I was like,
which I
give me my
always wondered-
17 cents or you're not walking.
I always wondered if like that actually kept anybody from walking, or if those people
Yeah.
were just like, I don't really give a shit anyway.
No, it keeps people from graduating.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Anyway, so
That's funny.
she started out working for a bank before getting a job at a San Francisco-based brokerage company
Okay.
from 1928 to 1935.
Working with the Benjamin.
It was there she would meet her third husband,
Oh.
Lee Taylor Dickinson. According to Smithsonian Magazine, quote, the firm had many Japanese clients, so it was not surprising when the couple became active in the Japanese American Society. Yet oddly, when shady dealings, as described by the FBI, brought the business down and caused them to be kicked out of the society, a Japanese diplomat stepped in to reinstate the Dickinsons and underwrite their society dues, end quote.
Interesting.
And shortly after their marriage, Dickinson worked in social services for a few years in California, and then the couple actually relocated to New York.
Okay.
Okay. So now they're in New York. So when they arrived there, they got there just in time for Dickinson to start working as a clerk in Bloomingdale's for the 1937 holiday season.
Okay.
Christmas time.
Cool.
She was hired in the doll department.
Ew.
Which you know what? It was something at the time that was very, very lucrative
Yeah.
because costume doll collecting was like a hobby.
Oh, totally.
That was really booming. It was especially popular with like really wealthy people and doll collectors. And like, it was like a big
Totally.
deal.
I
back
just think
then.
it's creepy.
I do too. I do too.
Like, I kind of love it, but it's scary.
Yeah, it's I'm pretty sure the reason we have like American Girl dolls now. Which is,
that's true.
but like, yeah, no, it was back then it was like a big hobby.
Yeah.
So
Good for her.
that was actually pretty lucrative. And then the following year, Dickinson decided to branch out on her own and open her own doll business, which she started out of her apartment. And then they eventually moved to a storefront that was just across the street. So they lived right across the street. It was also on Madison Avenue, which was like good location, like
Great.
high traffic. It is, again, like an area where the more wealthy people frequent to do shopping and
Perfect.
stuff. And it was right across the
to
street from their
dolls, yeah.
apartment. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, some of the pictures of like the storefront with just like dolls in the window is like, yeah, because it's like 30s dolls, 1930s that are like
Annabelle.
Weird. Yeah, basically.
Blech.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. So it was tough going in the beginning, despite catering to wealthy clients and having this prime location on Madison Avenue. But they continued to try their hardest. Dickinson even continued her involvement in the Japanese American community by joining New York's Japanese Institute. This is from HistoryNet. Quote, the only flamboyant streak in her life was her conspicuous habit of attending social functions at the Japanese consulates in San Francisco and New York, clad in traditional Japanese attire.
Oh, okay, weeb.
The early weaves, yeah. They even mention Dickinson, quote, entertaining consulate officials in her home as well, end quote. Okay. Mm-hmm. So they are like very much in those circles.
Okay.
Now, the struggle with the shop all seemed to be worth it because by 1943, they had built up a pretty decent like mail order side of the business.
Oh, okay.
Because she was dealing with people like worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, that's amazing.
The doll community becomes this thing that's like, and it's all done by mail communications.
Yeah. Oh my God, weird.
No internet.
So vintage.
So things seem to be going pretty well, but unfortunately, Lee Dickinson died in 1943 from a heart condition, unspecified heart condition, and Velva Lee was left to run the store on her own. Now, during this time, all the stuff that I've been talking about, the United States is like fully in the middle of World War II, and just a few years before her husband's death was the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So we're going to go back just a little bit.
Why do we always do stories that are around the same time?
I know.
That is so funny.
Well, and really there was a lot of spying going on between like World War II and the Cold War.
It's
like
just super funny.
It was a very spy heavy, espionage heavy time.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, it's the best time for spies.
It really was. Because spying is like a whole different game now.
Yep.
Big time.
Yep.
Thank you, Internet.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back in time just a couple of months like before the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So Lee is still alive at this point. Now, during the war, the FBI was using wartime sensors to intercept and scan communications that were potentially threatening to the American wartime efforts. So the FBI intercepts this letter that was allegedly from someone in Portland, Oregon to someone in Buenos Aires, Argentina. These letters talked about a, quote, wonderful doll hospital and referenced 3, quote, old English dolls that had been left for repairs, along with references to like fishnets and balloons. Okay. I got a lot of information direct from the FBI's website about this case. So this is from that, quote, FBI laboratory cartographers examined the letter and concluded that the 3 old English dolls probably were 3 warships, and the doll hospital was a shipyard where repairs were made.
Interesting. It's all in code.
They further concluded that the fishing nets referred to submarine nets protecting ports on the West Coast, and that the reference to balloons was intended to convey information about other defense installations on the West Coast. End quote. So they get this letter, and they're like, we think this is in code.
Yeah.
And so they open an investigation to try to figure out
oh my God.
If there's like U.S. defense secrets being shared with the enemy from somewhere within the U.S.
I'm just imagining it's 2 little tiny old ladies. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. So this is going on with this first letter. And then all of a sudden, these letters start arriving at addresses in the U.S. that had been addressed to a person in Buenos Aires and were being returned to sender as undeliverable.
Okay.
So the names and addresses on the letters were correct, and the letters contained accurate information about their lives and like doll chat. But most emphatically denied having written these letters.
Weird.
So they're being returned to sender to these real addresses of real people who are doll collectors, but they're like, yeah, that kind of looks like my signature.
They open it up. It's just like a little doll with a knife.
Yeah, or just like doll eyes.
like snitching.
I'll send you parts.
Ew, that's so scary. That would ruin my life.
Oh my God. Yeah, so they're like, no, this looks like my signature and this kind of sounds like me, but like, I swear I didn't write these letters. They have no idea where they're coming from.
Ew.
So they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Spooky.
Yeah. So, again, from the FBI, one of these letters, quote, contained the words destroyed your, spelled DISTROYED.
So incorrectly.
And then your is in all caps, like destroyed your.
Okay.
And in the same sentence made reference to a Mr. Shaw who had been ill but would be back to work soon. Significantly, this letter was written a short time after it became known that the destroyer Sean, like destroy your.
Oh.
Yeah, you got it.
I love this.
Which had its bow blown off at Pearl Harbor,
Rough.
was being repaired in a West Coast shipyard and would soon rejoin the fleet.
I love like talking in code. That is so fun.
Yeah. Another letter furnished to the FBI from a Colorado woman discussed a family of 7 real Chinese dolls. Mm-hmm. This letter had been written and sent shortly after a bunch of warships had come into San Francisco for repairs, and it had been delivered, had it been delivered as intended, would have been very valuable information for the opposing side. Because it was like a lot of ships that had just come back in for repairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been good.
Whoa.
Yet another letter was provided to the FBI from a woman in Oregon, which read, quote, I just secured a lovely Siamese temple dancer. It had been damaged, that is, tore in the middle, but it is now repaired and I like it very much. I could not get a mate for this Siam dancer, so I am redressing just a small, plain, ordinary doll into a second Siam doll. The FBI took this...
building another ship.
Right. The FBI took this to mean, I just secured information of a fine aircraft carrier warship. It had been damaged, that is torpedoed in the middle, but it is now repaired and I like it very much. They could not get a mate for this, so a plain, ordinary warship is being converted into a second aircraft carrier.
This is so fun.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And frankly, it's not like the most sophisticated code.
No, not at all.
Like,
I figured it out just now.
not super. Yeah, right. You can work in the FBI.
I do.
So a final letter was furnished to the FBI from a woman in Spokane, Washington, which reads in part, quote, I must tell you this amusing story. The wife of an important business associate gave her an old German bisque doll dressed in a hula grass skirt. It is a cheap, horrid thing. I do not like it and wish we did not have to have it about. Well, I broke this awful doll last month. Now the person who gave the doll is coming to visit us very soon. I walked all over Seattle to get someone to repair it. No one at home could or would try the task. Now I expect all the damages to be repaired by the first week of February.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, the FBI interpreted the references to the doll as a warship that had suffered damages at Pearl Harbor and it was being repaired and would be done in February. And
apparently it's ugly.
Yeah. I just love that it's like, I hate this doll.
Horrid.
It's horrid, so I broke it.
Like, girl, just put it in a box.
The image of her walking past this doll every day in her shop that she fucking hates and then just like knocks it on the floor.
Glaring at it.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
But that's not it. Don't worry.
I love
it's
it.
just code.
Oh, good.
Just
okay.
code things.
It's just a warship.
Just girly code things.
Girl code.
So once they had collected all of the letters, there was 5 in total. The FBI's lab began trying to determine the origin of these letters. They had determined that the signatures on all of the letters were forgeries. Because remember, these people said it looked like their signatures,
Right,
but
it wasn't.
Yes. So they were forgeries. And they had been, quote, prepared from original signatures in the possession of the forger.
Okay.
So, like, they had access to try and copy the signatures. They also found out that while the typewriters used to compose the letters were different, each typewriter was different, there were, like, typing characteristics from the letters that were the same across all of them.
So they're thinking it's like one person.
Right.
Got it.
But different typewriters.
Right.
The agency looked for anything that would have connected all of the addresses and people the letters were sent from, but there really like was no connection about it.
Right.
Except that they were all doll collectors and they all had done business with one Velvalee Dickinson.
Velvalee, you crafty lady.
You crazy bitch.
Yeah. She wildin'.
Now, one of the women was able to provide the FBI with a previous letter that she had received from Dickinson, like in their doll communications.
Doll talks.
Doll chat. Ew. So the FBI took that for comparison. They were able to then determine that one of the letters was written on Dickinson's own typewriter.
Stupid.
But they couldn't connect the other 4 to that typewriter. Further investigation into her past turns up these connections to the Japanese American Society back in California.
Right.
Which is kind of a red flag at this point in time. Turns out that at these social events, in attendance were Japanese Navy members, as well as other high government officials.
Oh, man.
The FBI.
That's who she was entertaining. The feds.
The FBI also learned that upon arriving in New York, Dickinson began a friendship with the Japanese consul general and a man named Ichiro Yokoyama, who happened to be the Japanese naval attaché from Washington, D.C.
I see. Interesting. All a coincidence, I'm
All
sure.
coming to dude, her explanation, she is so like, not me.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm just a doll lady.
So they were still trying to determine where 4 of the 5 letters originated, as only one of them had been confirmed to be from her typewriter. So turns out that in the 6 months during which the letters had been sent, Dickinson had been traveling some areas of the West Coast, and this used to be a common thing. The hotels where they were staying at had typewriters that were available to guests to use.
She's using the internet cafes.
Yeah, of yesteryear.
Dear Sammy.
Before the digital
night when you came
age.
home crying.
So the FBI was able to go to all these hotels and determine that the hotel typewriters were responsible for the production of the other 4 letters and that the timeline fits when she would have been in the area.
That's some good detective work. Wow.
Now, again, from the FBI, quote, continuing FBI investigation disclosed that Mrs. Dickinson had consistently borrowed money from banks and business associates in New York City as late as 1941. However, in early 1943, she was known to have had in her possession a large number of $100 bills. 4 of the bills, which she had used in transactions, were traced by the FBI to Japanese official sources which had received the money before the war.
Oh, girl. Busted.
Oops.
Busted.
Oops. So, Dickinson was arrested by the FBI.
Yeah, I would think so.
She gets arrested by the FBI on January 11th, 1944. By February, our favorite federal grand jury out of the Southern District of New York
Oh, God.
hands down an indictment for violation of censorship statutes, which held a maximum sentence of 10 years and a $10,000 fine.
Wow.
Once she was in custody, the FBI investigated a safe deposit box that had belonged to Dickinson and found around $13,000.
Whoa.
Which in 1940s money is a lot.
Right.
That was traceable to Japanese sources.
God damn it.
Some of which had passed through the hands of Captain Yuzo Ishikawa from the Japanese Naval Inspector's Office in New York.
Oh, yeah. Her bestie.
Her bestie. Of course, Dickinson has another story for all of this money, claiming that it was from doll sales, insurance companies, and a savings account. But later, that was changed to say that she had actually discovered the money under her late husband's bed after he passed away.
Interesting.
Like, he died, and then all of a sudden, I found all this money in the mattress.
Wow. It's just like when you kill an enemy in a video game and they turn into coins.
Yes,
Just like that
it's
happened.
just like that.
He just despawned.
Yes. So she was like, I don't know where
Get
this
outta here.
I don't know where it came from.
What's her name? Valletta?
Velvely.
Velvely. Velvely, you crazy.
Yeah, she's like, I don't. And then she goes to the FBI and says, look, I did find it in the mattress, but like, I don't actually know where it came from, but I kind of suspect that maybe it's got ties to these Japanese.
Fuck you.
Like businessmen.
Blaming your dead husband.
Yeah, like he always really wanted to be part of these Japanese American societies and he was the one who had the Japanese connections. So like
He's not the one with the hot Japanese friend. Okay.
Multiple different ones.
Get out of here, girl.
A second indictment was handed down just months after the first, which charged violating the espionage statutes, the Registration Act of 1917, and censorship statutes, all of which she pleaded not guilty to.
Well,
Dickinson's attorneys managed to work out a plea deal where Dickinson would plead guilty to the censorship violations in exchange for the Registration Act and espionage charges being dropped. She also agreed to provide the FBI with any information she had regarding Japanese intelligence activities, which I don't know that she had a ton.
Right,
I think it was the other way around.
Yeah. She was just like, they were just using her for that.
Yeah. So following the guilty plea, Dickinson fessed up to everything. So she didn't confess until after the guilty plea, saying she had gotten the information from innocent bystanders and personal observation. So she would just like, she would go to these areas where the naval bases were at on the West Coast and just be like a sightseer and walk up to people and be like,
Hey, what's up?
so
Wow.
this ship is crazy, right? Like, what do you think's going on
So
over
I'm
there?
guessing she was like gorgeous.
And
no? Really?
I mean, I'll show you a picture later. You can tell me. I don't know. Maybe the picture that I saw is just like the older
A bad
version of
angle.
her. So like, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, she was like, I would just like ask random people. They didn't think anything of it. I don't even know if it was because she was beautiful or more because she was a woman. Like,
yeah, true.
that people are like, oh, you're so innocent.
Yeah.
You want to
what
know
will
about
you do with this information?
man stuff,
How
like ships.
cute.
Yeah. So she just was like, yeah, people would just like tell me stuff.
Oh my God.
And she confessed. She's like, yes, I wrote these letters. But Dickinson still claimed that the whole transaction was set up between her husband and Ichiro Yokoyama
God.
at the doll store in 1941. She still was like, I'm not the one who put this all
It
into
was
play.
my dead husband.
Yes.
I swear.
Yeah. And she continued to say that the money was hidden from her until she found it in the bed. Although the FBI has evidence to dispute these claims, she insists like, I really didn't know. But I did write those letters.
Whatever your
but I
fucking
didn't
name
know
is.
about the money.
Velveteen Rabbit.
Velvely. Oh my God.
She's a mess.
Yeah. Dickinson was sentenced on August 14th, 1944.
Ew, I'm imagining her making dolls out of like stuff from prison.
Ew.
Her like prison cell is all full of like toilet paper tube dolls.
Yeah.
Ew, that's gross. Okay, continue.
She'd have to use poop, right? Like there would have to
I
be a
think they'd
poop.
be 90% poop.
There'd have to be a poop element somewhere in there, I
doll.
feel like. So Dickinson was sentenced on August 14th, 1944, with the court saying, quote, "It is hard to believe that some people do not realize that our country is engaged in a life and death struggle. Any help given to the enemy means the death of American boys who are fighting for our national security. You, as a natural-born citizen, having a university education and selling out to the Japanese, were certainly engaged in espionage.
Wow.
I think that you have been given every consideration by the government. The indictment to which you have pleaded guilty is a serious matter. It borders close to treason. I therefore sentence you to the maximum penalty provided by law, which is 10 years and a $10,000 fine." End quote.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was like,
Don't pull no punches.
yeah, and they did not fuck around when it came to like espionage charges and stuff. Like, they were like, straight to jail. Straight to jail. Straight to jail. Yeah. Running a doll shop, straight to jail. Straight to jail. So like, I'm kind of not surprised that she got the especially because even though she pled guilty, she came in like, I didn't do it. I don't know anything.
Right. You didn't even confess until afterwards.
Yeah.
So
and
like you didn't really care.
even after she was in prison, she still continued to claim that she was innocent. Like everything was her husband's fault. He's the one who set it up.
She probably made evil poop voodoo dolls of all the court.
Yeah.
Like the judge and stuff.
Yeah. But also, how shitty to blame your dead husband.
Yeah, I know. Like, come on. He
Like,
supported
really,
your
dude?
weird hobby. Like, get over it.
He's like, yes, honey, you can open that doll shop across the street so the dolls can watch us from the window every night when we go to bed.
Yeah, including all of the ones you set up to watch us in bed.
Yes. Oh my God.
Getting a little kinky.
Intentionally like tilts the heads up to the apartment. Oh my gosh. So yeah, she continued to be like, I'm innocent. I don't know.
She's like, I didn't do that
She
shit.
was released in April 1951 and pretty much disappeared into the ether. She just like goes off and lives a quiet life, presumably is dead now.
Wow.
and just is like, that's the end.
Do you think she put her soul in the dolls?
Okay. No. No, I don't. I really don't.
Based on what?
Nothing. Nothing.
That is so weird.
Yeah. So
That's
that
a
is
weird one.
The doll woman, Velvely
Oh.
Dickinson.
Blech. That gives me the creeps. Cool.
Yeah.
Ew.
But it's like that World War II time period, man. They did a lot of
Yes.
spying and shit.
Yeah.
So before you decide to join the CIA,
Don't do that.
don't do that. But maybe listen to this podcast.
Hi, I'm Lainey, host of the new podcast, We're All Just Pretending. It's a podcast that has elements of Dear Abby with a twist of Post Secret. Every episode, I'll read listener questions and provide advice and insight as a friend. My own pod friends will even join in and offer their advice on parenting, relationships, and even give you really bad advice on purpose. Since we all have secrets to share, there'll also be a segment focusing on letting the skeletons out of your closet. If you're looking for advice or want to share a secret, head to allpretendingpod.com. And remember, we're all just pretending here.
All right, Rachel, that has been our episode.
Yeah.
The Spies.
The Spies. Ooh, Spy
Harriet
Kids.
the Spy. Oh,
Yes.
Spy Kids also.
Harriet the Spy.
Kids,
Love
for
that.
sure.
Loved all of that.
Solving crime by dinner time. Yeah. No, that was a lot of fun. I don't know that we've done a spy episode before, so. And they were like hot to trot with those espionage charges back in the day.
Yeah, they were
This was a lot of
throwing them
fun.
out.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts before we finish up?
I just don't like dolls. That's so scary.
I'm gonna get you a doll for Christmas every year from now on.
No.
The creepiest haunted doll I can find.
No. Oh, actually, I do. I like that again.
What
I
if
want
it
a
was
haunted one.
So as long as it's haunted, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's just
Yeah.
creepy and not
Yeah.
haunted,
Yeah, then I don't want it.
okay, that's what I'm gonna find.
Okay, perfect.
Creepy but not haunted.
Stay tuned for our next episode called Rachel Gets Possessed by Her
Oh my
Haunted
God.
Doll that Vicky put in her house.
If you have enjoyed this episode, you can find more just like this at thebadtastepodcast.com. Our sound and editing is by Tiff Fullman. Our music is by Jason Zakshevsky, the Enigma. This has been the Bad Taste Crime Podcast. We will see you in 2 weeks. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.
And left their bodies on the hillsides along the highway.
It was as if a wave of evil washed over this town.
We are all people in some form or another.
Pure.
Avocado Mystery.
I don't even know, dude.
Avocado Mystery Podcast.
Weird.